morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by three very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Daslow, and with me, as always...
My name was Ben Vanel and remains Ben Vanel. And rounding out the trio, it's a man who changes names and styles as often as Madonna.
Who's had one name consistently for quite some time. And similarly, my name is Adam Knox, like a virgin. Mm-hmm. Technically not one, but you'd be forgiven for thinking so.
Well, hey, once upon a time there was a virgin called Adam Knox.
Yeah.
That's true.
You are like him. There's like a statute of limitations on having sex, right? I think after...
Do you reset after a point?
Yeah, after like 7 years.
Oh, okay. Well, I got some time.
Okay.
But not heaps. Because I got to fill that time playing games,
That's
I'll
right.
tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I love to do.
You guys watch this goddamn Nintendo presentation?
Kinda.
Yeah, I've watched myself scroll through an article about what got announced in it. Mm-hmm. So this was a Indie World / Partner Direct.
Yeah.
They've done both of these individually, separately before. They're kind of their own separate brands. Also, the two of them separate to just a Nintendo Direct.
Yep.
So yeah, they have one for their indie games. They have one for their like kind of third party stuff. And yeah, this is the first time they've done a presentation that is sort of the two of them combined. And yeah, I think people are still kind of wondering if they're going to have their own actual... combining the two of them, they're already like smaller things, and they're not even being enough in either of them to warrant their own one is really like... You know, people have been saying it for like 2 years now, but people are really starting to go like, man, we are really, really winding down here.
We're scraping the bottom there.
Yeah.
We're fully beyond the tail end. We're like being dragged behind the ship now. We're not even at the stern. We're at the coming out behind the boat.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, obviously, it seems like stuff moved around with when the Switch 2 or the successor to the Switch.
Thank you.
Do you want the successor to the Switch to be Kendall, Roman, or Shiv?
Well, no spoilers, but I want it to be Greg.
If they called it the Nintendo Greg, I wouldn't even be that freaked out.
Yeah.
They've had some weird... But so, yeah, it was another one of those ones where they're like, hey, nothing about that. No Switch successor talks.
Which is
It's
crazy to
purely
have to say
filler.
for a partner direct / indie world. Like,
Sure.
The idea that there would have still been some people going like, nah, it's a red herring. This is when they're going to roll it out. You have to tune in at midnight Melbourne time to see the announcement.
No Switch successor, but we're definitely going to see Silk Song. So at least I'm going to be satisfied by that.
I was just about to say that even with this, people have given up on Silk Song.
Right.
I feel like before Gamescom, maybe it was, people were going like, hey, they're still plugging away on it. I think Jeff Keighley said
There was
about
one
the opening
recently,
night live.
Yeah,
where
that's
Keighley had
right.
to go like, hey, you will not be seeing it here. So those are the two that, that it's a race to see which one will get finally revealed first. Which is funny because like the fact that they've now started going, we're not going to show you the Switch successor in this thing. It's like the minute they go, hey, Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yes!
Well, and I reckon probably not that long.
Yeah.
Because Sony... Okay, this is sort of separate to this, but there was more stuff this week of like the PS5 Pro's definitely happening. It's definitely this year. It's most likely to be December. That seems pretty locked in.
Yep.
So when Sony starts talking about a technically new console, Nintendo do their own thing plenty, but it would line up with what was going on in 2016 for the Switch to come out in the first half of 2017.
Yes.
Yep.
That they showed it off for the first time in September or announced it or whatever. I can't remember. Was that like the video with the people playing it on the rooftops and stuff first? I don't really remember.
I think that was the first thing we saw, yeah.
Yeah. It was just a brief, like 2-minute little kind of trailer for the console. There wasn't any like... Yeah, you saw like little snippets of a new Mario and stuff in there, but it wasn't revealed yet that it was Odyssey We knew about
Right.
Breath of the Wild. Even like the bits of Mario Kart that were in there, people are like, "Oh, this looks like the last one. Would this be
Right. I
guess
that or a
that's
new
just
one?"
a
Or
fill-in. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get very similar to that.
Yep.
I would guess in September or October. But in the meantime, just to quickly whip through this one, because I agree, there's not too much in there that's that interesting. They showed off a bunch of games that we've already seen for quite some time. A bunch of things that, look like they might be cool, but it's just hard to tell, like Moth Cubit. Which maybe we've seen that before and I've just not paid attention, but sort of, pixel art. They call it an experimental RPG.
Yeah, I don't think I'd seen this before. This and Morsels, I think, were new
Yep.
to me at least, and probably were the only things that I really that really moved my needle as such.
yeah, Morsels looks cool.
Yeah, I really like the style of it. The presentation looks sick. But yeah, there's like you guys loved Pizza Tower. I was not a fan, but that is getting a port to Switch.
Yep.
It's out now. Yeah. It was like a dropped
yeah.
immediately after the direct, and I think this is the only other thing it's on now outside of the PC. Is that correct?
Oh,
I think so. And
Yeah.
it's a great place for it.
Yeah.
And I agree. This Morsels game, Annapurna published, but like similar
sick.
sort of CRT filter to Downwell, but a different look to it.
Animal
like
Well.
that sort of. I do mean Animal Well. Yeah, sorry.
because I had the same thought when I saw it. It's
Yeah.
little bit Animal Welly.
Animal Wellian, the pigs stand up at the end.
That's right.
I like these big, blocky, sort of thick, chunky sprites and stuff that
Yeah.
it's doing with Morsels. That is out in October too, I think.
Yeah, sweet.
Nope, 2025, February
Yeah.
2025, I'm sorry.
Oh.
But then it's a lot of stuff of like, there's some Shrek DLC for
Yep.
Power Wash
Yeah,
Simulator.
yeah.
Sure. All the Balatro
There's,
stuff, which
Yep.
like I think I can't remember if we talked about this on a regular ep or just in our lives, but you really frothing that. Oh, it's on our mailbag episode. You've been playing a lot of that, Tommy, especially like while traveling and stuff. And like, yeah, it's cosmetic DLC as far as I can tell, but that's fine.
Is it? I got the impression. Yeah, I think it's like some collabs and stuff. I got the impression there was also like an update that maybe adds some new Jokers and stuff to it. I think
sure.
was maybe
Yeah.
the case, but yeah.
It looked like it, that there's some themed Jokers
Some new
around,
cards.
Yeah. So for people that are pretty deep into that, and you have to be, I think, to get to those like high level score, you have to really have a real understanding of like all the cards and how they all work against each other and with each other. So just introducing like a few new ones into the mix is gonna, for the real heads, I think is gonna like massively change the game for people that have like feel like they've really thrashed it.
Really going through the classic indie game shared roster, like Shovel Knight's the only one not there.
Right.
Of, It's collabs with Vampire Survivors, Dave the Diver, Among Us, and The Witcher 3.
Yeah, that was the first one in it. That's cool. I guess CD Projekt Red needs
already out.
some money to pump into Witcher 4 development.
Which they're working on. I don't remember if we talked about this, but the actor for Geralt was like, yeah, I'm going to be in it, but I'm not the main character.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
No, I think we because they announced obviously that they'd started working on it, but yeah, that's a new wrinkle. That's very interesting. I wonder if
You'd assume that it's right,
Yeah.
surely.
Yeah, I think so. That's very cool.
Tales of Grace's F, Atelier, Yumiya, a bunch of those sorts of games where it's like,
Yep.
hey, they keep coming out, so people must get them, but fuck me if I know what's going on with those.
Yep.
Yep.
And then also Yakuza Kiwami,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. I'd have thought
a remake
maybe
of
Zero
the
would be
first
easier, but-
one.
Yeah.
And yeah, just having any Yakuza game on a Nintendo console is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. So not a ton of stuff. Nobody expected a ton of stuff.
No. The
Easy peasy.
the
We'll all move on
console
with
should
our
have
lives.
been put out to pasture at least 12 months ago. It's okay.
It is cool that Pizza Tower is out there in other places. Hopefully, now that it's on the Switch, it gets ported over to the PlayStation and Xbox as well because it's a great game. One other interesting thing, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which has both the Power Stone games in it that have not been re-released anywhere since the port on the PSP, which was, even that was a long, long time ago. So, because I was just listening to the Kane and Rince episode about the Power Stone games, and they're not a million miles away from us. They've really been on a tear lately of like every game every time they do an episode about a series where they're like, well, there's just simply no way of getting these games anymore. It'd be great if they re-released them or remastered them. Literally within a week, they did an episode of Luigi's Mansion 2. They did one of Metroid Prime. They've now done one on Power Stone. I think there's one other one in there. They've really been on one with... just like loudly pontificating about the future of this series and remakes. And then,
if I ever end up with a loved one in jail, I'll send them a request to do an episode about them, and then maybe they'll get released the next week.
Okay.
Little legal hack for you.
Yeah. The secret works.
Yeah, those Capcom collections, because there's that Marvel vs. Capcom one coming out very soon, I think. Which people are excited about, and it's, obviously not sort of our main domain, but why not? And especially if all of these things, as the assumption is, if your library from the Switch will be playable on the Switch too.
Yeah.
Great place to be getting stuff.
Yeah, everything carries over. Speaking of things carrying over. Three fellas by the name of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are carrying over from the second Sonic the Hedgehog film into the third Sonic the Hedgehog film, for which there was a trailer released yesterday. The gang is all back. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and whatever James Marsden's character's name is.
Yeah.
John?
Officer Marsden? Yeah.
I watched this. So, okay, I got two different things about this. One on Twitter, formerly Twitter. The Sonic the Hedgehog tweeted out, "Welcome to the Sonic family, Keanu Reeves," and a picture of Shadow. And to his credit, I'd forgotten Keanu Reeves was going to be Shadow. Watched that trailer and I was like, "Who's Shadow?"
Yeah, right.
Couldn't pick him, so. I guess good for you. Well done. You're doing a voice.
Yep.
I guess.
He's successfully hidden his identity amidst the character of Shadow.
Shadow in the trailer, no gun, but can teleport, which I don't think Shadow was able to do previously.
Yeah.
But
it is very funny that it's Ben Schwartz, Idris Elba, Keanu Reeves, and then the voice of Tails is just the person who does them in the video games.
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny that they just, for that character, they're like, let's not be absurd.
Yeah.
Let's not, let's not.
And like Idris Elba is doing a voice where I'm not like, oh, Idris Elba.
Yeah, true.
Like Ben Schwartz is doing, slight attitude Ben Schwartz.
Yep.
But Idris Elba has a full Knuckles voice going on.
And it sounds like if you didn't recognize Keanu, he's acting as well. I guess.
He's doing a bit of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I think these movies are going to have diminishing returns for me.
Well,
given that I'm not a child.
For sure.
But that's absolutely fine, and it's not meant to appeal to me. I thought the visuals looked fucking amazing. Like the animation is really cool. Like I even thought that about Super Mario Brothers movie, which I hated as a film, but like kids are getting treated to incredible animation, and I do like the style of this film.
Especially this one where it's like a real world animation hybrid.
Yes, true.
I wouldn't say I'm like excited for it or anything, but I went into it thinking, oh, here we go. And I didn't think this looked like too bad. It looked better than I was expecting, which was admittedly, at essentially rock bottom. But
sure.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of, they have to like team up with Robotnik, and that seems like that's going to, it seems like they're given a lot more, Jim Carrey's got maybe like a little bit more to do, which he's kind of been the best part of all of them.
Yeah.
I like as well when you hear him talk about it that it sounds like Jim Carrey's having fun doing these.
Yeah.
And they have figured out, like people were off that Knuckles series they put out, it sounds like. But like the movies seem to be progressing a little bit to the point where, and this is smart with kids franchises, the slightly older kids might still want to watch it because this one looked a bit more like, oh shit, it's this guy's strong and it's dangerous and da da da. There's a bit of action going on here. But so the other thing was, for the morning comedy shows we were doing in Edinburgh, a bunch of kids would show up. I don't remember why this came up, but I asked some kid if they knew about Jim Carrey. He was talking about generational things, and they didn't. But I forgot to ask about Sonic.
Yeah, fuck. Do you know Robotnik?
Yeah, you know you know Dr. Eggman.
I don't know what I was fucking doing up there where I was like, you know, the mask or whatever, but
The cable guy.
I think Jim Carrey, probably kids would now know like that Robotnik's there, but not know it's this dude from which, you know, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I also like plot wise, you know, it being like Shadow's like, you know, he's like an evil, he's Sonic turned evil, and he's like he's like this alien thing that's sort of gotten loose, and the gang of good guys has to take him down. That kind of as a plot seems a little bit more enjoyable to me than like the sort of, I couldn't tell you with a gun to my head what was happening in the second one, but like it's a little more like just kind of a bit more of like just a movie plot than like a deep Sonic lore, crazy bullshit made up like, oh, this ring's over here and we've got all the power of the, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like it's a little more, it seems a little cleaner as a plot.
A little Dragon Ball Z or something. I'm trying to remember what happened in Sonic 2.
Yep.
I can't do it.
Eggman comes
I'm
back
dead.
from the alternate dimension.
Yep. And he's got Knuckles is bad. Knuckles is the bad guy.
Yeah, Knuckles is bad.
But he's misguided or whatever. He thinks he's trying to. He's part of an ancient order that's trying to preserve something.
Yeah, and there's been a bit of a Frasier-esque misunderstanding between him and Sonic.
Yes.
What's Frasier?
Don't know. Yeah, I do like that. It's like Spider-Man, right? It's like Venom gets on the loose. People are like, "Hey, why is Spider-Man being evil now?" And you know, it's that kind of It
looks a little cleaner, a little less kind of. Two things in it though. There's a I'm standing right here, and there's also a can't we just talk about this? Is there like come on.
Well,
come on, guys.
I do think though, if I was a kid today, I think I'd be a Sonic kid rather than a Mario kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. What else is there to be? Oh, Minions. It's kind of slim pickings. And I guess the MCU.
Sure. Are there Star Wars kids still, or have they kind of wiped that out of...
Yeah, I wonder. And even the ones that they were making weren't really for kids. They were for millennial men, mostly. So
I could imagine a lot of kids having the experience of having obsessed Star Wars fathers who've tried tooth and nail to get them into it in an obsessive, like, taking them through all of it, and so... as a result, hating Star Wars because it's the thing that Dad loves that he will not shut up about and he will not stop trying to get me to engage with. I could see that being pretty common.
Yeah. I'm going to rebel against that. I'm going to only watch Family Guy clips, Subway Surfers, gameplay footage. I love the Minions. And...
Fuck you, Dad. I'm an Eastbound and Down kid, and you know it.
I'm into Farscape, Dad, and you'll never change me. Well, speaking of changes and millennials earlier, do you want to talk about a price increase?
Whoa!
It
better not be
common.
fucking rent, because bitch...
It will be. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, no.
The PS5 is going up again in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
I believe this is more to do with what's happening with the yen at the moment than to do with manufacturing stuff, possibly.
Yeah, because the Japanese economy is like mid-crash, right? Like they're kind of experiencing some pretty fucked up financial stuff over there.
Yeah. So, and I don't know enough about that to really speak to it, but here we go. No, like it's going up again, but I feel like the last time they did these increases, which have happened not that long ago, it was one place and then another, and it sort of did the rounds. So I don't think it's especially, I mean, the PS5 Pro is probably coming out soon, like I was saying. So anyway, this is in terms of pounds. Mm-hmm. But the PS5 now costs £170 more than it did at launch.
Yeah, right.
In
Fucking
Japan.
hell.
Jesus.
That's a fucking absurd number. That's 300 plus Australian dollars more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh, but that's it. Sorry, that's in Japan. In
That's Japan.
Right. Yeah.
But that's fucking wild and just so foreign to me. The idea of technology, consoles especially getting more and more expensive over their lifespan is obviously something fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just the console, and I think you're right. It's like it's due to Sony's position in the marketplace because like the controllers are going up, the PS Portal thing, the earphones they make, the DualSense Edge, like all the PSVR 2 I think is also going up. So like this is across the board for their like games division, and it's not good. And I don't know if like you say it indicates something's going to roll out across the world, but I hope not. I already have a PS5 though, so like, what do I care?
Well, so you haven't just moved and not being able to take
Next.
the PS5.
Oh yeah.
With the Pro coming out too, the assumption would be the Pro comes out, the slim models go down in price a little bit.
Yep.
To sort of get both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
But that equation might be real fucking wide on the page at this point with this many numbers involved. So
yeah, I just feel like this is, you never really used to hear. I mean, obviously things have always gone up, but the idea that like it was, when was it, like a year ago or 2 years ago, where they were like, the RRP of these games is now going to be whatever it is, 120 Australian, and there were like a couple of Switch games, maybe Tears of the Kingdom, a couple of first-party games, where they were like, our recommended retail price is now going to be whatever it was, $80 or $90. And like they bumped it up by, and was it the Meta Quest that went up at one point?
Yeah.
I feel like it just was it never feels like there's been this much of a like these things being like announced that they're going up. It felt like, inflation previously would just be like, you'd be in the shops and you'd be like, well, fuck me dead. That's gone up a bit.
It's
Everything's
just
costing a
inflation.
bit more. Yeah.
it didn't happen inside of a console generation before, really,
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
Like with
Yep.
cartridges, some of them would be more or less than others because like the ones with more fucking megabits, that you'd be paying a lot for a Street Fighter 2 or whatever, but they haven't gone up. All of this stuff has gone down over time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Even with inflation, like the pure numbers have actually kind of gone down, or
Right.
like at least with console launches, like hovered around similar sort of things, and then every console has gone down quite quickly, and it's just
Well,
that ain't
2 or
happening
3
right
years
now.
in, it's like it's pretty common to see hey, we're doing the big price drop. It's now $100 less. Or here's the version of it that comes with this game packed in, or what, for the same price or whatever.
Yeah, totally. It's I think it's because we're at the end of civilization. Capitalism has destroyed the world, and it's all we're gonna hit the tipping point.
Civilization 7 had better not be the last one. We've really got to
rely
on them. Just announce an 8 just so that we can have a little bit of a future to look forward to.
Yeah.
They got to announce Civilization Infinite or whatever the fucking
Yeah, no, that would be the death knell.
Yeah. Or
that means
you
it's
play-
going down.
You play Civilization 7 and, they're all pretty, like, open-ended. And then that one is like, you get 10 hours in and it's like, the end!
Whoops.
I did see, actually, weirdly, one of the sort of things about Civ 7 is the game has been designed to be more about playing from the start to the finish. Like, you do often, like, just abandon your Civ games, but, like, a bit more stuff about Civ 7's come out. I also saw, I think this is, like, part of the PR push. They invited a bunch of people to Firaxis to play Civilization, and they also showed them the original PC that Sid Meier developed Civilization on is still there.
Oh,
it's got
sick.
like 16 megabytes of RAM. The hard drive barely works, but that beige beauty is still in the offices there. I
love that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's very cool.
It's
Apparently,
like how
there's-
you can drive to the television museum in Mount Eliza and see Pluck a Duck.
yeah, yeah,
He works there. He works at the cafeteria. Yeah, that like so. Well, sorry, you were saying because Civilization more stuff. Just reminded me. I watched a bit more stuff about Monster Hunter Wilds in particular.
Oh, yeah.
at Gamescom because it's going on, and that game looks fucking dope. Man.
Oh,
I'm looking
brother.
forward to that.
Yeah.
all the kind of reports off of people are that they've taken a sort of split between World and Rise, but then also pushed it into being a little more straightforward to get into. Like the controls with like that focus mode and all of that are like a lot more approachable, which I think for me is a good thing. And there will probably be people who are longtime fans of the series who might disprefer it, but there are so many
Yeah.
of the games now that like a change here and there is
Yeah.
probably welcome either way.
I feel like there'll still be people who find it too much, like it keeps them at arm's length. I feel like this is just a narrative that they'll have with every Monster Hunter game that they make from now until the end of time / in 6 months. Where
Possibly, but even with the Souls ones, that kind of got less and less, and with Elden Ring, kind of broke through to a lot more people being like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's true.
It was cool in our Discord, which, speaking, we've mentioned a few of these things. That mailbag episode is on Patreon, patreon.com/filthycasualspod. Talking about Civilization, we just did. Ben took us through the Sid Meier's Life and Times.
Yep.
And also the third thing we were just talking about.
The Discord.
As well. Oh, yeah.
That you
Yeah, the
said like
Discord.
10 seconds ago.
It was literally
Yeah,
at the
but-
start of the same sentence you were speaking.
Whatever storage method my brain uses, the price of fucking RAM has gone up in there as well.
You're using Sid Meier's original Civilization computer.
Yeah. I've got a real TV museum style brain. There's a lot of pluck a duck in there, but there's not a lot of new technology. But anyway, in the Discord there, which you also get, and like ad-free episodes and stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to go have a look, patreon.com/filthycasualspod. But someone in the Discord has been talking about how they were clicking with Elden Ring, and it's been I
Right.
can't remember the name, sorry, right now, but that was really cool to see someone in real time have that thing of like, I just beat Margit. I'm a fucking god. I'm
Yeah.
a god. I can do anything with. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Anyway, that just to mention. But yeah, I've been watching. There's like out of Gamescom some stuff like that. There were like 4-hour lines to play the demo of Monster Hunter. It
Oh,
looks like
man.
there'll be like a tech test beta thing coming up at some point. No announce of a release date yet, but that's probably going to be at Tokyo Game Show later this month, I think.
Yeah.
I
it's
mean, next month, September.
end of September. Yeah. Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah, you kind of often see around this time if there's been a show where there's a demo of something that people can play, then it's not too far down the line that they drop the demo and make it public. As is the case for, I played a little bit today of the demo for Epic Mickey Rebrushed, which was...
Oh.
There were a bunch of people who went hands-on with that at Gamescom, and yeah, they've dropped a short demo, for that. And I had played a little bit of the original Wii version emulated on my Steam Deck, and it was an absolute kind of a thing to get going because it uses the Wii pointer, the Wii remote for a pointer on the screen, and as a result of that, it has like a fixed camera. Just was really, really hard to get to grips with in that format.
Hey, at least it's worth it for a game that fun.
Did you ever play it, Knox?
Yeah. When we did that Disney thing
yeah.
a while ago, I played a bunch of Epic Mickey, and it's not for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember it coming out because I only had a Wii at that point in my gaming life, and I did not like it either.
Yeah, it's this demo of the remaster. They've given it a real going over. Like visually, it looks great. Like they've completely redone it, and I am enjoying the demo. It's like it's got no pointer controls, no shake controls. It's like yeah, you've got like your second stick is using the camera. It's just like a more straight up 3D platformer with a bunch of Disney shit in it. So I'm keen to see how the full thing ends up being received, because I kind of remember at the time with the original people being like, seems like there's kind of an all right game in here, but it's just so marred by all of this like, yeah, Wii Remote shit. So I'm interested to see how much, how people take to it when it's out.
And beyond even how Epic Mickey did it, which I don't think was that well, people were so over motion controls as a phenomenon at that point too, that it was hindered, at least, you know, in people's approach to it by that. But I'm glad to hear about the controls. I feel similarly to games as I do about shirts. I like it when they use buttons. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who sometimes criticizes the comedy in other things. Well, hey, speaking of which, actually, can I tell you some stats here about a game called Concord?
Oh, yes, I was going to bring this up too. Yeah, they are pretty funny stats, aren't they?
Speaking of Sony having a hard time here, Concord, I'm sorry to say, big flop. This is on Steam, not on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through some launch day concurrent peak users.
Can I guess?
Well, sure. Have an early guess with no context.
Okay.
How many?
Well, just because Ben said he'd seen them and that they were pretty funny, I'm going to guess that all of them are 69.
You're not far off, actually. It kind of actually is. So I'm going to read you some. Someone on Reddit has very helpfully done some comparisons to other like big stinking bomb, famous bomb launch stats. So remember Marvel's Avengers?
Yeah.
Sure.
That had 31,165 on Steam at its peak thing. And that was sort of a PlayStation first kind of thing, positioned that way anyway, I believe.
I think they had some like PlayStation exclusive DLC and shit in there.
So we're talking a similar kind of, it's not a PC first, well, it's unfair to compare type of thing.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League from earlier this year, famously big flop, 13,456. We're still in 5 digits.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Which, again, pretty funny in the same way 69ing is funny. Saying 5 digits, you can get a laugh out of that.
That one's really making the Avengers game look good now.
Lawbreakers. Do you remember that one? I think that was maybe like Cliff Blazinski's big failure. I can't remember.
I think I just remember it for being a failure, yeah.
7,579. Hyenas, that might have been the other one. But these are those sorts of like hero shooter post-Overwatch ones. It had a closed beta before being cancelled. The closed beta had 2,261.
Okay.
Something called Bleeding Edge. I'm not even going to pretend I remember what that is. 1,464. Immortals of Avium, 751. The Lord of the Rings Gollum, 758.
Wow.
And this is probably before it had, I bet, a bump from people making fun of it.
Big
and
time.
wanted to go in and
Of
have
course,
a look.
yeah.
Smarmy
Concord.
content creators.
Exactly, yeah. There's 758 people all streaming it on Twitch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Concord. You were right for the first two. Chuck a 7 at the end. 697 peak users.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's bad.
Baby.
And I don't want to shit on something that people have worked hard on, but that game was so visibly, obviously going to be bad and looks uninteresting. And then all the reviews, I haven't played it to be fair, so, you know, I'm not speaking from a position of authority, but they're middling at best. And it's a lot of people being like, there's actually a fun game in there, but there's all this other stuff. And like, it's just the tone of that game is years and years out of date.
Exactly.
Of what people
I was
are kind of
gonna
looking
say,
for.
it's the timing. It's the timing as much as anything. If this was the first ever one of these, visually it looks fantastic, and I'm sure they've just copied, you know, a lot of the gameplay structure and stuff from the existing ones. But the existing ones have, you know, devoted player bases of millions of people. They're not clearly they're not going to try something like this, you know, this late in the game.
One of the main keys to a successful game launch is the same as the key to comedy. So
Timing.
take from that what you will. I couldn't hear you. Spoke over me. So yeah, that's.
Oh, that was.
I don't know, man. It's nice to have.
That was like being in an escape room.
Oy
So
vey.
yeah, it's look, I'll be honest that there's some sort of grim satisfaction for me of like, hey, cool, I can still see trends.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
like again. This is maybe not fair because it's like just not a genre I like, but I do hope that this is an example that provides some level of influence upon what gets developed in the future, and I even if it just means that the next one that is attempted to get made is better, then that's something.
You can't just slap whatever on the box
Yeah.
of this format and people will buy it. It's
Yeah.
actually got to be interesting and
Yeah.
And like, I hope that a takeaway for people from it is that like writing really matters to people in games if you're going to
Yeah.
make the story a front and center thing. But I don't know. I don't think it will be, because then there's the other fucking not that I ever want to give oxygen to this sort of stuff, but like the other part of that is that some people are like, yeah, fuck this game because like it's got a cast of characters who are somewhat diverse.
Yeah.
So, and I think that like the artistically the designs weren't appealing, but it's not that. That's not the fucking reason, and that fucking shit sucks.
Yeah.
Like that, as in the attitude towards that stuff of like, yeah, fuck this game because it's trying to have a fucking,
No,
like,
the same thing happened with that series, The Acolyte. Like, literally the same thing. Apparently, it was
Right.
a terrible show. Like, people of diverse backgrounds watched it and were like, this sucks. But it also presented, like you say, a diverse cast of characters, and the loud 5% of the internet who are dickheads felt like they got their way, but they didn't. Anyway,
you didn't, you dumb fucks,
Yeah.
and you never will.
You never will.
Fuck you. But also, I'm having some cowardice kick in now, so never mind.
yeah, you touched on writing in games, and Star Wars Outlaws comes out in a couple of days. I'm keen for this, but yeah, the reviews have been not like tepid. They've just been okay. Like it's not reinventing the wheel, and I think a lot of the sort of praise has been for the presentation and the style visually. It seems to nail a lot of the very Star Warsy stereotype stuff, the Tatooines, the marshy swamps and shit. But
Pew.
yeah, pew pews and and all of that stuff. Apparently, again, the music's great.
I think I'm nailing it too.
No, I am Darth Vader.
Hey, get out of my way! I'm walking here.
But yeah, apparently it's sort of the main character's very bland and the story's bland. So I don't know. I guess I'll still fucking shovel that slop into my mouth.
That's the thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I like doing that plenty of the time, and like, I don't. When a game puts its story front and center, then it's more likely that I'll notice and criticize or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, I feel like at the time we were like a bit more down on Ragnarok than people were, and some of that tone has turned around with God of War. But as compared to the first one, there's a reason to talk about it.
Yeah.
Whereas if that had been out of nowhere, I probably wouldn't have given
Sure.
it as much consideration. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. Because like
And,
the
like,
voice
Black
acting
Myth
was
Wood-
still great in that, and like there's still there's so many positive to even the story element itself.
Totally. It's just more boilerplate than the first, so as comparison to,
Yeah.
it makes sense. But like Black Myth Wukong, I'm still excited to play and still haven't had a fucking chance, but this is the fucking week, man. I've got some free time. It's amazing.
Talk about
But,
the
like,
fucking PS5 going up in price. They'll be rolling in yuan in China because PS5s are selling out because of the interest in Black Myth. Like, it is absolutely...
It's a smash hit over there.
It's a smash hit, and I think, yeah, that's interesting to say the least. Apparently,
Yeah,
it is. I've heard that it's kind of a more difficult Souls-like than a lot of the stuff that we've seen lately. It's a bit more of a traditional return to tradition of how hard it is, but
I think it's also sort of a different game. I'll be able to talk about it next week. Like, a bit more of an action game than like a proper, like, doing the Souls sort of steady pace combat. There's some weird stuff around it too that like I'll save until I've actually played the fucking thing. But hey, maybe I could play it. Well, actually, I couldn't because it's not on the Xbox yet because they have problems.
Yeah.
With the Series S version or whatever. But
Yeah.
I could play it with one of these new adaptive joystick controllers they've put out. I love
Yeah.
Microsoft's work in this field of like accessibility and different sorts of controllers for people with different needs. This one is like sort of like a Wii nunchuck with replaceable joysticks that have different types of shapes for how people will be using them. Love this shit. Do heaps of it. Make them compatible with everything.
Yep.
Nothing but good.
Yeah.
Other than the plastics involved in production, I suppose.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you really want to take
They should make them out of recycled paper.
Yeah.
They should make them out of used paper straws that are all dissolving and slopped up.
Speaking of Microsoft making things more accessible to more people, Indiana Jones is coming out on the PlayStation 5. And apparently, so will future Microsoft games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good for me, personally. I want to play that game on a PS5. I don't have a Series X, but it directly contradicts what I think Phil Spencer said 6 months ago. That's like been sort of, that's been presented in some of the reporting about this announcement. Interesting. It definitely points to Xbox being more of a provider of games rather than a platform for games.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got no choice at some stage, honestly. And they're all on PC anyway.
Yes,
So, I'm the same. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Just put everything everywhere.
Yeah, it just means that essentially it's all when these acquisitions kind of seemed like what they would be is exclusives, now they're more just like timed exclusives because, I mean, if you're going to get some cash from people buying it on the PS5, then sure, why wouldn't you?
Well, and I don't know. I think I know what your answer will be, Ben, but I think for me, say I don't have... say I've got a PS5 and maybe I've got a PC, but I don't have Game Pass, and I see this game I want to play, and I go, I could just sign up for Game Pass on the PC. It's still going to drive me personally there for something like Indiana Jones because I'll play it for $15 rather than for $90 or $120.
Sure.
Yeah, I think if I suspect that I will enjoy a game enough to play 40 hours of it or 30 or whatever this game is, I would tend towards the console option because of just like comfort factor. But financially, yes, you're right. It makes a whole lot of sense to just dip in for a month.
I'm assuming this will be more like a 10 or whatever too. It seems like a story, But anyway, look at that. Lots of fucking news we wanted to talk about.
Lots of news this week in the world of video games. But there's also been games to play.
So true.
I doubt it. I mean, there have been. I've been furious that I haven't been able to play a game for a while. Like, I'm actually
furious.
I've been walking around, punching the air, slamming doors, playing rock music.
Punching the air is something you usually do when you're happy. It's like a victorious, like...
If you do it upwards, but if you're doing it sideways, it's
shadow boxing is when you want to fight someone.
Ooze, that type of one, not yay.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm going to go, here's a little riddle for you.
Wait, you've been cooking up
riddle.
riddles?
It's entirely the wrong word to use. It's simply a question.
It's not even an
You're under
anecdote.
a bridge.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so here we go. You're a billy goat gruff.
Yep.
Troll asks you this at the bridge. I didn't bring any sort of video game controller over here, other than I guess the Switch Joy-Cons technically.
Wait, the troll's asking me this about it's at a bridge and it didn't bring any controller with it to the bridge?
And I have to get one.
Oh,
the troll has to get one.
The
to
troll
use
has
with a personal computer.
And
I'm the troll. You're a billy goat gruff. Why are you asking the troll if he's a troll? You already know that I am.
Yeah. The troll needs advice from me, a goat who plays a lot of games and has a bunch of controllers.
Let me rephrase it so that it's more in the form of a riddle or hopefully make this clearer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be it not that I'm a high roller, I do not own a controller.
Now that's a limerick.
Need to purchase. Well, we're not at the end yet. It's not.
It's not a riddle. It's a poem.
We're not at the end. We're halfway through. A question isn't a question until you get to the question mark at the end of the sentence.
All right.
If you went, how do you? That's not a question. That's just 3 words in a row.
All right. Let me reserve my judgment until the end of this.
Thank you. Be it not the case that I'm a high roller, I find myself in need of a controller.
Yep.
I need to buy one, but which should I get? What's the perfect controller to make me wet? Now,
Well,
don't take that literally.
Yeah, that's a whole
What
other
controller
question.
should I get?
Yeah.
I
That's
used
what
to
I've been
love.
trying to figure out.
Did you ever used to enjoy on game shows when like they'd be mid question and someone would buzz in and they'd give the answer?
Yeah.
And then the host would give the rest of the question and it would turn
Yeah.
out they'd answered it
Yeah.
bass-ackwards. And
Yeah.
just seeing the smug look on the host's face be like, you actually didn't let me finish.
Especially when the answer they give is just like really easy and obvious, and it's like, yeah, of course that's not what we were asking you, dumbass.
What is America? Boom! A country.
Let me finish the question. What is America Ferrera's most famous role in the Barbie movie?
Yeah.
Just so, when you see the look on the contestant's face when they think that's the question, like, God, I can't believe my fucking luck. It really, I'm just gonna stroll out of here with $1 million.
I'm so glad I came on Burjo's unbelievably easy catchphrase. But yeah, I'm looking for a controller.
Okay.
I'm thinking of getting just a PS5 controller. They work well. I like the shape and the size and the format and all of that.
I'll tell
Yep.
you what I got. You can't see the dock, but I got myself an 8-bit do controller.
Oh yeah, yep.
It's now activated, so I hope it doesn't stop the recording or anything. But it comes
I
with
have one of those.
yeah, like a wireless
Yeah.
charging dock, so you don't have to worry about like re-syncing it with Bluetooth or anything. It just instantly activates as soon as you take it out of the dock. I love the joysticks. They have the sort of off-kilter joystick thing that the Xbox controllers have, which I know you like, Nox. Yeah, it's like perfect. It's the perfect controller, and it's worked great with PC games, which you'll be using a controller for on your laptop.
Yeah, I've definitely had those in the past, like from that company.
Yeah,
It's probably the way to go. You can also use them with a Switch, but here's the thing.
right.
What if there were a silver PS5 controller that looks pretty cool?
Or what if there was one coming out soon that looks like our friend Astrobot?
Yeah, that one looks pretty sick.
It actually did. It's the first time I've ever been tempted by one of these specialty PS5 controller, or even to just
Right.
have a second PS5 controller at all.
Yeah.
They normally have a bit too much of the like it's a normal controller but with like a tattoo on it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, this
just-
doesn't because he is modeled on just a PlayStation, kinda. He's like
Yeah, true.
meant to have that aesthetic, so it's got his little it's got his little eyes on the
Yeah.
on the
touchpad.
on the little touchpad thing. Yeah,
Yeah. And then it's like blue detailing on the sides. It looks
Yeah.
and the buttons and all of that. It looks fantastic. Yeah, I
Very
think it's
tasteful.
just like exactly. Most of the other custom controllers are not tasteful at all. There's a lot of camo. There's a lot of Gears of War and Call of Duty. But this one looks sick. I wish I didn't just buy a new PS5 controller because my first one died. Oh well.
I could spend £200 / 400 Australian dollars on a DualSense Edge. That's fucking wild.
That's insane. Yeah, I did not even consider doing that when I replaced my PS5 controller.
God damn. And the DualSense Bono is even more.
Hey, I'm
Once
going to hold
again.
up to the camera what the controller I think you should get. No, oh, fuck. It's not going to work with my stupid novelty background.
Turn your stupid background off.
God damn it. All right, hang on. This is worth it. This
You're
is
also holding up
absolutely worth
A
it.
phone screen to the camera?
It's blurred because you've got the blurred background on.
Yeah.
There we go. That's what you
Oh,
got to get.
Deadpool's ass.
Oh,
right,
That's
right,
what you
right.
got to get.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Deadpool
Thanks
ass
for taking the
controller.
time, Tommy.
It
Yeah,
really
really.
was worth it. And it's
Worth it.
really good for the
juice.
listeners.
This juice, delicious juice, worth every second of the squeeze.
Well, against my better judgment, after that's the sort of content you provided.
Fuck up.
What have you been? I interrupted about that controller thing. We were going to talk about something you've been playing, Tommy.
Yeah, I played 2 things this week. We were just talking the Nintendo Switch is winding down. Not a lot in that partner/indie world direct. I've been playing a game called Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars, a demo of Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars. It's just dropped about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago by the time this is out. It is a fan-made new Mario game that has been being worked on for a bit, and they've been putting videos out, and yeah, they've just dropped a pretty hefty demo segment of this game. It's a 2D Mario platformer that is kind of SNES era sort of looking sprite art, but kind of taking a lot of character design and sort of overall flavor from the Mario and Luigi RPG games, and then a lot of the moveset stuff from the 3D Mario games. So you've got like a somersault and a and a backflip and all the kind of, the very like, you've got like a very like parkour style of moveset in the 3D Mario games that you don't generally tend to get in the 2D ones. And it's also got kind of like a little partner system where you meet different little characters and they kind of join you and they give you different little abilities. And it's got like a 3D kind of world map that you sort of traverse around in.
Right.
There's so much going on, and it's really cool. I've never really gone in on any of these like fan-made Mario games because they always do tend to feel a bit like they've just taken all of the assets from Mario 3 and just, made their own levels or whatever. But this really does feel like its own thing. This kind of feels like almost like a Sonic Mania thing, where it kind of doesn't feel a million miles away from if Nintendo had have given some indie developers or, some fans the keys to the kingdom and gone, have a go at like what you think, a new 2D Mario game should be. It's really cool. It's really impressive. And like the levels in the start of the demo, like it's challenging pretty quickly. The levels are all, they're quite long. They've got like interesting little mechanics in them. And that's like clearly the people who've made this, like they've clearly got a lot of affection for Mario and also a lot of, as a lot of Nintendo fans do, pent up, like, why don't they do this? Why don't they do this? Like, why don't they play it a little less safe? So it's a little bit like, what you would direction like you would want Nintendo to go in if they were going for it a little bit more. And also they just clearly really understand level design because it's really got some interesting, challenging little things that like none of it feels like, oh, this is a bunch of Mario fans that just like kind of are throwing something together in their free time. It feels feels really polished already.
That's very cool. I think obviously it's a risk to be promoting it before you're done. Because Nintendo are a big hey, fuck off.
Yeah,
I was going to say, download it now while it's still up.
Yeah, they have a thing about that on their website in the FAQ where they are convinced that they're fine because Nintendo tends to shut things down that are remakes of existing games or are making money, and they are not. This is a free download, and this is based on an engine that is like another fan-made Mario game that has been around for a long time, and their point is like, well, that's been up forever and never once been taken down or threatened. So they seem pretty convinced that they're gonna be okay. Which that was my first thought too. Like crazy thing to sink a lot of time into because it's every chance of just being shut down and all your hard work going down the drain.
There was like a multiplayer Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, like the 2009 one, like the remaster of that. Someone made the multiplayer for that game, so it like rocketed up the Steam charts. I was like, why is that? But it's because someone made a multiplayer mod thing for it, but then got shut down because it wasn't out yet. But they were like, they had a Patreon going to try and raise money for it. So when you introduce money to making something with someone else's IP, it becomes a pretty immediate, easy thing to go like, nah, that's crazy illegal. You can't.
Yeah.
But this does use their intellectual property and everything, so we'll see.
Yeah. They do. You would want to be pretty convinced that you're doing all the right stuff if you're going to sink that much time into it. But then again, you never know. And I hope they get to put it out, like the full thing of it, because it's showing a lot of promise. Like it's cool. I'd really recommend it. If you just Google Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars, you'll be able to find their site, and just it's a direct download on the PC, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's like I'm catching myself in little moments where I'm forgetting that I'm playing a very homemade fan game. It's cool. It's really impressive.
Nice. I've been playing a legitimate game that isn't illegal. No, I played the demo for a game called Slay the Princess a fair while back. I think it was at one of the Steam Next Fests where they dropped 700 demos for free. I don't know if you guys have any memory of this game, but for anyone who's never heard of it, it's a very simple black and white illustrated presentation. It is basically a choose your own adventure. And at the start, it's like chapter 1, the hero and the princess. And the narrator is talking to you in a very Stanley Parable sort of way of like, you're the hero, your only task is to slay the princess. And you just click, go down the path to the cabin. Go inside the cabin, pick up the blade, go to the basement and stab the princess, slay the princess. But the narrator is, there's a bit of fourth wall breaking. You can talk to the narrator, ask it questions, try and dig into why you're supposed to slay the princess, why if the princess is chained up, someone else hasn't slain the princess, like what's going on here?
Were you telling us about this on here, I wonder?
Yeah,
or was it just IRL?
I definitely have told you guys about it. Because it was great. Like the demo was interesting. It really drew me in. For how simple the idea is. But yeah, so it's out now and I've bought it on Steam. And there's a number, like there it seems to be, it has the feeling of infinite, sort of possibilities, in that sort of like telltale, actually hiding the fact that there's only like 4 possibilities. But yeah, it's fantastic. Like you can go down there and the princess will talk to you and you can be like, hey, why is everyone scared of you? The narrator told me that the world will end if I don't slay, like you can dig into that. And so it has all of this sort of, Stanley Parable, like interacting with the game's mechanics sort of thing. And then it's like, has this really interesting sort of progression where if you die, then you'll come back and it'll be chapter 2. And then there'll be like another voice in your head speaking to you as well as the narrator. And maybe that voice has a different perspective. And then the actions that you do, maybe this time have different results. Or when you go into the cabin looks completely different. Or the princess is different. And each successive kind of loop through adds new changes and adds new wrinkles and adds more voices in your head that are like, you shouldn't listen to the narrator at all. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's the one who's like the problem. Or, like listen to him. He's the only one who knows what is going on here. And so it's all very simply, presented. It's all just, I think, like literally hand-drawn illustrations, whether it's like on a tablet or scanned in or whatever. It looks great. But it's such a simple idea that would have been pretty, like you imagine, easy to code in terms of like presenting it. It's just like clicking dialogue, basically. And then all the complexity is in like, how many permutations of this can we build in? How many of them can we link together where it makes sense? It's really, really like, it's well written. There's like, I guess the narrator is the ever-present voice, and there's a voice actor for the princess, and then sort of like Disco Elysium, there's all these other voices that sort of start popping up and giving you different perspectives, and it's all well acted. It's like obviously such like a shoestring budget game, but Everything that's in there is really, really well done. I'd love to see this. Whoever developed it, I'd love to see them do some more stuff. But like as almost like a, first film proof of concept that you can be, a big auteur. This is like a great example of
cool.
of that.
Awesome. This sounds great.
Yeah, it's like, pretty cheap. And I'm not sure if there's still a demo. There definitely was a demo available, but like, you can just chuck on a YouTube playthrough of this and just get the vibe of, the style and everything. But it's great. I love it. I really recommend it. And I'm glad that with Telltale, I think, again, going into receivership or whatever is going on with them, that more people are exploring this and adding different voices and more, I guess, like unique ways of telling these kind of stories and making these kind of games. But yeah, I'm loving it.
Slay.
Huh?
That's
the first word of the title.
Continue.
Oh. I'm still I'm so excited to play more games this week. Tommy, did you fuck around with any more or?
Yeah, there's one other thing I've played recently. Came out a couple of weeks ago now. It's called Arranger. It's a puzzle game. It's kind of billed as a puzzle RPG, I think, or certainly when it first got announced, they were really leaning into that side of it. The RPG element is like pretty minimal, other than the fact that you're traveling around a little world and chatting to different characters that you meet. It is designed by the art is done by the person who I think did the artwork in Braid. So it's got that
right. It looks very painterly in the same way. So that does make sense.
So it's a. Oh God, it's going to be hard to describe. So you're moving around by every time you move your character, you're actually moving like a row of tiles along.
Yeah,
so,
I know about this game. Yeah.
Yeah. So to move left and so you'll be on like a little track where if the row of tiles ends, it's just like they kind of just repeat throughout the other side.
Yep.
And so you might come up against a bunch of rocks that you can't move. So the way that you would get around is by, you go down and then you pop up the top of that track. And it's basically, you're leaving this village, you're going out into the world, you're meeting people who are giving you little quests. And every bit of it is you're moving around this way. So you'll be in a dungeon where it's all very like condensed and each room is a little puzzle. But then even just when you're walking around the world, you're still doing like you're still doing this style of movement like
but
the
just
entire
in simpler
time.
Environments, I guess. Like
So
like
there's no
not shit in your way and you're not having to do like, what's that thing called where you've got a bolo or whatever, where you got to move the blocks around, but if you push it in the corner, it'll get stuck. Not like that, but kind of like that.
Yeah. So you're and there's like it's funny. There's such a like an inbuilt logic to the puzzles and the world and how it all functions and how it all fits together, where I feel like a lot of the time the challenge for me is I've just kind of sort of forgotten that. I'll be banging my head against a wall being like, how the fuck do you get through over onto that other side? And then you just remember like, oh yeah, you can go down and then you pop through the other side. You know what I mean? Like there's such a like, if I'm like in the zone with it, then you know, like
you got to be thinking with portals the whole time.
Yeah, it's totally that. And so like stepping away from it and then coming back, like you do find yourself like it takes you a little bit to like get back into that rhythm of how the movement works and what you feel very limited, but you can always do way more than you assume you can.
You just got to be thinking laterally all the time. I totally get what you mean. It is also funny that it does give the impression that every time you turn it on, you're like, what the fuck? The whole ground moved.
Well, a little bit. Like, you just kind of forget like the things that you can do. Because like if you're on because bits of it are like you're in like a grid. So you've got like freedom of movement, but then a lot of the like dungeons and stuff you go into, you're just on like a little trail and you're very, very condensed and you're like, man, I've got there's there's just nothing I can do. I have no options. It's like, oh no, that's right. You can go up there and you can. So like you'll have enemies where the way that you take them down is by getting a sword, and like there's no picking up items or anything. The way that if someone has asked you to get something for them, or if you want to take down an enemy, the way that you use the sword is like there'll be a sword somewhere on the grid and you have to like get yourself onto the track and be like moving it along. So it's moving along the track with you. So you've got to work out your placement and then the sword's placement. And there's just like variations on that, and it kind of builds further and further and more intricately. Like the boss battles are really cool. Like they're all some version of like, you'll have like, you've got to work out your placement of like 4 different things in the area, and by moving over to move one of them, you've put this other one off course. So there's a boss that's like he's got like 4 different weak points that you've got to hit all at once. So you've got to move around and make sure, so by the time you move back to where you've got to be, everything's moved just the right number across to hit the weak. It's all kind of stuff like that, but it's got this,
that sounds
like,
really cool.
Yeah, it's got like a great like I love how it looks. The style of it is really cool, and it's like the story and the writing is like fine. It's not blowing me away, but I do really appreciate the fact that it is like, that is the other very interesting thing about it, is that it's not just like here's a series of puzzles. It's like tried to do this, not open world, but you leave the village, you're out in the wilderness, and then you run into this guy and he needs help with this, and I'm actually going over there. Could you help clear the path for me? Like it's tried to build a whole kind of world and story and a little quest into this thing, and not just have it be a series of static puzzles, which
Sick.
is I kind of appreciate the point of difference of I've not seen like a puzzle game that's tried to do like a something like that before. So it's cool. I recommend it.
Nice. I just looked
Arranger.
up. It's Arranger, a role puzzling game, about 5 to 6 hours to complete. $30 on Steam. Is that where you played it, Tommy?
I'm playing it on Switch. I think it's on everything.
Oh, there you go. There. Yeah, nice. So that sounds sick. I might give it a crank. It looks cool.
Yeah.
I do like the visuals. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool style.
Fuck, I'm excited to play some fucking games again, boys. I'm gonna fucking play Slay the Princess of this.
You can sit in
Arranger and
your
that other
easy
one.
chair there behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I hate that chair. That's my dad's.
Oh, it's your dad's.
Yeah. For anyone listening, I'm in a living room. No, I've got Fraser's house up behind me.
Yeah.
Because there's very identifying information about the hotel where I'm temporarily staying
Yeah.
if I don't have this up.
Yep. Anyway, DM me if you want to know where Knox is staying.
And the room number.
You can do it at patreon.com/filthycasualspod, I believe.
That's
Yes.
right.
That's where you should do it.
We've recorded our mailbag episode for August. Loving doing these mailbag episodes. Loving the questions.
Yeah.
People have some like genuinely really good questions and sort of like, topics, jumping off points and stuff. So that'll be coming out soon. We mentioned before, I've done the history of Sid Meier. So the Civilization games mainly and a bunch of other stuff. That'll be coming out by the end of this month. And then, we got ad-free episodes. We got fucking a bunch of other Nintendo 69 episodes about movies and TV shows we've seen. It's a really good... The value proposition, it can't be beaten.
Yeah.
It's a good time over there.
It really is.
Yeah. Get on all that. Support the show. We're going to leave it there for another week. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals...
Timing.